For the next DIY, I'm going to take one of these 11 by 14 wood photo frames from the Dollar Tree. I was really excited to find these at my Dollar Tree the other day. This is a really nice large frame for $1.25. I'm not going to need the glass or anything like that. I just want the wood frame. It could have been a little bit sturdier. As you can see, it's pretty thin, but I liked the size of it. I saw this great project on Pinterest. Let me find out who did the original DIY. It looks like it was done by the Shabby Tree. I think that's a crafting blog, but it is a basket wreath using a frame and rope. So I wanted to see if I could make a Dollar Tree version. I believed they used a strong rope and a 16 by 20 canvas or something like that for theirs. But I thought I would give it a go with one of the Dollar Tree wood frames. The size is really big, so I think this will work. I'm going to start right here and attach it with some hot glue and twine. And I did put mine together a little different than she did, but pretty similar. I think after making my project and looking at their blog, it looks like they started at the very bottom. I started on the handle first. So I started about halfway up. I just attached it to the back with some hot glue and staples just to reinforce that. And I'm simply wrapping this around. I thought the thinner wood frame would be perfect for this because I could have a thinner handle for my basket wreath and it wouldn't take quite as much rope for this project. Getting to the corners was a little bit tricky, and so what I did was I kind of started and then going in the reverse direction, trying to overlap the corners a little bit. And that seemed to work because this part was a little bit tricky to deal with to try to cover that on that tight corner. So I kept kind of working in a reverse direction until I filled up the entire corner. And since that kind of works out like that, I'm just going to cut it and attach it here in the corner and then just start again. I just found that was the easiest way to do the corner on it. It was, again, a little bit challenging when you got to that part. But I think I was able to do a pretty good job. So basically, the top of the frame is going to be the handle for the basket, for a basket wreath. And then the bottom is going to be all rope to hold our flowers. And this held so many spring florals. I love it. This is a great wreath for your door. I just started my next package of rope. So this is package number 2. I did not count these, so we'll have to count as we go along here. And I'm going to keep wrapping this on the top of the handle. This is the thinner rope from the Dollar Tree. They don't have the measurements on them anymore, which is kind of weird because that's how I always kind of pulled them apart. I noticed that the coasters that I crafted with too didn't have measurements either. So I'm like, why are we not telling people measurements anymore, Dollar Tree? Come on. When I got to the corner, I'm going to do the same thing where I kind of push it out and then start reverse coming back towards the corner, if that makes any sense, because that seemed to work pretty well on the other corner until I have enough rope to completely cover that. And again, just going to have some scrap material here. It just seemed to work out better for me that way. Attaching my ends with hot glue. And now we're on to package number 3 of this rope. And we've almost got the handle completely covered. I just started with hot glue and a staple just because I thought that would make it a little bit stronger. You could probably get away with just hot glue. And I'm going to go down until I am about halfway across from where I started. Then I'm going to go all the way across. And I did a staple there for a little bit of stability. And then you're going to simply start wrapping your frame like this. I wanted to make sure that all of my seams were on the back so I didn't have any ugly starts and stops to the rope on the front of my basket wreath. And so I stopped right there at the side and then I'll start a new piece. If I were to make this basket wreath project again, I would probably add burlap for this bottom part first, wrap the entire thing in burlap, and then do the rope over the top. I didn't do that because I thought it would be excess craft material and I didn't really want to waste that. But you know what? It would have been easier for this part, kind of gluing the ropes together so you don't have like holes in between them. I noticed there was some gapping happening and I didn't want that to happen between the ropes. I didn't want you to be able to see through it. And I'm still counting. This is package number 5. Since this is such a large basket wreath, I knew it was going to take a lot of rope. So I just made sure that I had a lot in my stash that I could use to make sure it's all done with the same kind of rope. When I start and stop on the bottom, I'm able to just glue that to each other. And again, trying to keep that as tight as I can. Going in here with package number 6. As you can see, this is making a big pocket here where you're going to be able to add all your florals down in there. And it looks like a basket, right? A basket with a handle. So super cute. I think this would be really fun for Easter as well. So this is package number 7. I might be pulling it a little too tight. As you can see, it does bow in a little bit. The Dollar Tree frame is not super strong, but I kind of liked the effect, so I kind of kept going with it. And as you can see, when you get down here to the bottom, it's just going to take a lot of rope because you're going all the way around. This is package number 8, and I'm coming down here to the very bottom seam. I do want to make sure that I cover up all of the rope. So it looks like nine packages of rope. So that will be handy if you're going to make yours with the same exact size wood frame from the Dollar Tree. And I do want to kind of overlap down here and form a bottom, basically covering up all of the wood from the frame, but you still have that great structure. In my inspiration piece, it looked like they used a canvas, so it was probably a stronger wood, but I think this worked really well for a Dollar Tree version. Again, I didn't really like the openings in between them, so I tried to glue them together. Anywhere I noticed a big gap with a little bit of hot glue, but that just took a little bit of extra work. I think if I would have put burlap down first and wrapped that part of the basket wreath first, I could have just glued down to the burlap, and the burlap would have held it together, but it would also kind of hide the gaps in between the rope. And then I went over everything with my lighter to burn off any of the fuzzies. As you can see, it is a large basket wreath, and I think it looks really good. I love using Dollar Tree rope for projects. I think the brown rope is a great, like, neutral color. You could really use this for any season. And then to fill it up, I'm going to use some Spanish moss. I've been having trouble finding this at my Dollar Tree lately, so I had to get some at Walmart. But I thought that would be a great filler. It's going to be lightweight. It's going to be something that's going to be decorative, but hold all of my flowers and fill this pocket up with that Spanish moss, just like that. For the flowers, I wanted this to be overflowing with spring flowers. So I'm going to do a combination of pinks and purples. I love these flowers from the Dollar Tree. They're like a droopy flower, but they're only like partially droopy. I wanted mine to be like completely hanging flowers to go down the front part of my basket wreath. And so I got a couple packages of these. I just cut them into individual pieces. And let me show you how I made them a little bit droopier. I've worked with these before, so I know they kind of like to droop down, but they stick out. I wanted mine to go straight down and not stick out from the wreath. And so what I did is I took some wire. This is just some hardware wire from the Dollar Tree. You could also use some floral wire for this. And I just bent it. So it's still on the wire that I can put down inside the basket wreath to hold it. But then I just wired it where it is bent here at the top, if that makes sense. And if I have a piece long enough, I will just continue that on to the next one. I want these to go all the way across, and I'm just gonna scatter these out. I want like all of my pink flowers. I got lots of different kinds to be coming out at the top of the basket underneath the handle, but I thought it'd be really pretty if all these purple ones just kind of drooped down. So again, just doing the wire just to bend those, and that worked perfectly to give the look that I was looking for. Because again, they droop, but they just kind of droop out. They're strong enough not to go down. And so I did that all the way across with those two bundles. I've used these, they come in pink and purple. I've used them for some of my ladder plant stands, and they looked so pretty drooping over the sides of those as well. I love the pinks and purples this year. So again, I just kind of wire them to each other, bend them. I think that looks really good, and nothing permanent. So I'll be able to remove those and change those out with other flowers. For the flowers, I chose like coordinating colors. So camellia, dahlia, I think we got even some roses here. A lot of them are really similar colors, and I thought we could make these work. They're a nice size flower too. So this one I kind of had just a scrap one flower left, and I'm going to use that one. This one, I want this part of the flowers to be really tall, so I'm just going to leave this one attached to the stem itself. So it'll be nice and tall, fitting down into our basket, just kind of bending them a little bit so they'll face towards the front a little bit. And I did have to trim it down just a little bit because it was a little bit too tall and just put that down into my Spanish moss into my little basket wreath. And again, these look really similar, but like this is a different one. I don't know, maybe they're just creative with their names for the flowers, but I cut these into individual pieces so they would be a little bit shorter. But as you can see, they have that same pink, white, and yellow color scheme. And then this one does too, but this one has like a little bit more of the pink and the coral in it. And I wanted all different kinds of pink flowers to all coordinate together, but kind of contrast a little bit against the purple. I kind of like having the pink and the purple mixed together. And I'm sure you could get really creative. The Dollar Tree florals this year for spring are the prettiest that I've ever seen. I keep complimenting them. It's the only compliment they're getting since I don't have any shore living this year. And I know they're tired of hearing me complain. But I finish it off with these camellias. These are some of my favorites. They're so pretty. Just scattering those around, making it look really random and overflowing with flowers for spring. This is how it turned out. You can hang it like on a wreath hanger or on the wall. The rope will just hang on a nail like that without even having to make a hanger or anything like that. And here it is, our rope basket wreath.